Hello, I'm Jane from Calm Therapy and welcome to Conversations with Calm Therapy. I'm wishing you all good health at this time of this pandemic. We're in week 7 now, so I think we're all doing very well. So Conversations with Calm Therapy, it's a project where I interview a series of complementary therapists and business advisors during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is to create connection amongst business owners and also offers you, the viewer, tips on how to cope with these sudden changes, how to manage your fear that rises with uncertainty, and how to move forward through that fear. I'll also be asking each guest any useful rituals or activities that we can add to our daily routines during our time at home. So my guest today is Patrick Fox. Patrick is a life coach who focuses on helping dads quit the booze for good. So hello, Patrick, and welcome.
Hello, welcome. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. So would you just introduce yourself, give a brief background about yourself and what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure. So Patrick Fox, as you say, certified life coach, helping my clients to stop over drinking. So when I started my coaching journey about 5-6 years ago, at that time I was still drinking, and it got in the way of my progress, if you like. And anyway, through my journey of where I am now, and actually quitting alcohol, stopping using drugs and all of these other things, I had a lot of clarity about what it is I wanted to do. So I was able to now use my coaching skills and actually help other people in stopping over drinking as well. And yeah, I love to work with dads because that's what my journey was, is like I stopped. That was my why, if you like. I stopped because I knew that I didn't want to be that dad who was just on the sofa hungover on Sunday mornings, not really paying attention to the kids, expecting the wife or the partner to do everything, and just not really showing up as like I wanted to be as a dad. I think that was the main thing. So I stopped drinking back in December 2018, and yeah, not looking back at all. It's all been good.
Brilliant. Thank you, Patrick, and thank you for sharing your personal story as well. It's, I hope it can help others too. So I ask my guests the same 3 questions, and I hope that you answer from your area of expertise. So my first question is, we are going through unprecedented times of sudden change. How might we maintain a positive outlook and a feeling of connection whilst in this period of isolation?
Yeah, and it's a really great question, and I love that there's been so much creativity in how it's made possible. And I think obviously technology has played a huge role. Like I can't imagine what it would have been like 20 years ago, even still. And I think for someone who is over drinking, it's about managing those periods of boredom, because I think that's when we're bored, we can do unhelpful behaviors. So that could be over drinking, it could be overeating, like whatever it kind of shows up as, right? So is to understand that boredom is actually created by our thinking, and we can look at the way that we think, because boredom's a feeling, right? It's a vibration in our body. So when we're getting bored, it's important to understand that drinking is not the only option. Like there are lots of other things we can do. And I saw in the news last week that, drinking at home's risen by like 35%, which we'd expect, right? Because pubs aren't open, restaurants aren't open. So people who would frequent these premises on a regular basis are now drinking more at home. So it's important to just, I think maybe that might help in the way that people can see their drinking behavior or patterns more when they're at home. Because when you're out and about and you drink here and a drink there, like you might not really appreciate how much you're drinking, but like having it all in one place would really be showing up. So yeah, it's about talking to people, reaching out, like any of these things with like mental health and addictions, is to be able to speak to people still. Like don't suffer in silence. So I have a Facebook community where we all talk. We had a Zoom meeting actually, and like a group of us got together, so we were able to talk and share our experiences. So yeah, lots of options like that. So how can you stay connected, whether that's through social media groups or family and friends?
That's brilliant, Patrick. Thank you. And as you say, it's just so important to find support and just find, groups of people who are experiencing similar things, perhaps, and like the support that you're offering, which we can find out more about a bit later. So my next question is question 2, and it's known that fear can have a negative impact on the body. How might people release themselves from this fear to reduce mental and physical health issues, and how to move forward through that fear?
Yeah, so I think it's important to understand that fear these days it's a construct of our mind. Like, it comes from our thoughts and our thinking. So previously, in like thousands of years ago, fear was super useful in helping us survive. It's like it's got us where we are today, and fear still plays a part, like in moments where we absolutely have to react, like fight or flight, right? But 90% of our lives now, or up to, like, fear is actually quite unnecessary, and it's caused by the way that we think about things. So we're thinking, uh, well, we are afraid of feeling in a certain way because we don't want to feel like we are not worthy or we're not good enough and stuff. And like, when we try to step out of our comfort zones, there's fear attached to that. And also with drinking, it's like, how does fear and drinking show up? Well, when you're afraid that you're not able to stop drinking, or you're afraid that if you stop drinking that you'll lose your friends, or you'll lose relationships, and like all of these different areas of your life, like that creates fear as well. And then the fear just perpetuates the drinking, so you keep drinking and you never get to really look at why that's coming up for you. So fear is useful, but it's misplaced, right? So I think now we've got to a point where we need to think about fear as something we need to experience, but it doesn't need to stop us. So of course it's going to feel scary, like stopping drinking, especially if like we have this identity as drinkers, right? Or I certainly did. As like my life evolved around drinking, and that can be scary. Thinking like, well, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not going to be able to hang around with my friends group, or I'm not going to be in the same relationship. But like, none of that's true. That's just the way that we think about it and create that fear, because our brain really actually likes alcohol. It doesn't want us to stop drinking, so it creates this feeling of fear that almost tries to stop us, to self-sabotage. So yeah, it's about understanding that you can work through it. Like, there's a book by Susan Jeffers called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, which is fantastic, and she talks a lot about this kind of concept. So yeah, I think just really look after yourself, understand that we can't control outside events. And I think that's what, we at the beginning of this pandemic, right, with all the shopping and stuff, we're seeing it, people going absolutely bonkers, like hoarding their shopping. And that came from a place of fear, because they've gone into survival mode, right? So it's knowing that, and everything is going back to normal-ish now, okay? So like, we're still able to go and shop and stuff. So it's just recognizing that our brain's trying to do a job to keep us safe, but sometimes it's misplaced, and we just need to raise our awareness of what's actually going on. So you can do that by writing down all of your thinking, or write down what your fears are and then see them for what they really are.
It's I mean, the whole thing about fear is it's trying to prevent you from reaching that pain point, isn't it? And that's what people like you help people to get through, because sometimes it is uncomfortable, sometimes it is painful of going through certain experiences, and they do need support and support groups, or mentoring and all that, just to get through those times. And especially with addictions like alcohol, it takes a process as well, doesn't it? So fear will comfort blanket you all the way around until it really messes things up for you, I think. So
yeah, but it's It's so interesting because really fear is just a feeling. We don't want to feel certain ways.
Yeah,
So because we don't want to experience an emotion,
yeah,
we do other things that are far more destructive, you
yes.
know. But we're not taught things like this in school, you know. I think it would be super useful if we were taught about how our emotions show up and drive everything that we do or don't do in life.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Brilliant. Thank you, Patrick. So, moving on to question 3. Based on your experiences, can you suggest any useful rituals or activities that we can add to our routines to support us during our new way of life?
Yeah, of course. There's all of the ones that we sing a lot of, like to do with Joe Wicks and doing his PE class in the morning. So, you know, exercise, health and fitness, whatever you can do, like depending on your ability, is to get out and do it, because we know that when we exercise and it releases all of those endorphins that make us feel better about ourselves. And it's funny because the more you, so just going back to the previous question, thinking about boredom,
Yeah.
the more bored you are, the less likely you are to go out and do something. Yet when you go out and do something, you instantly change your state of how you're feeling, and then it creates momentum. So it's a bit of a can be a vicious cycle, like if you don't do anything. So yeah, just getting out and exercising can have such a profound difference. Another thing that I like to do is just like journaling, so writing down all the thoughts that are going on for you. Often when we journal, our thoughts aren't necessarily real. Like we think that they're facts in the world, but they're not. They're just thoughts that our brain is coming up with. So just kind of identifying what is real and what isn't. And what else we could do? Yeah, like just staying connected as well, just speaking to people, staying connected. I think that meditating is a fantastic way as well, you know, especially when if you are drinking or trying to stop drinking and you get these urges or the impulses, right, that you think, oh, I need to have a drink. Like just stopping and breathing can make such a big difference, like consciously breathing, because we're breathing all day, of course, otherwise we wouldn't be here. And meditating as well, like it's so powerful, just sitting there and just watching your mind, and not being attached to what you're thinking about. And you know, sleeping well, or finding a new hobby or pastime that you can get involved in, or even taking up an old one that you've kind of forgot or left to the wayside.
Brilliant. Thank you, Patrick. So, how can we find out more about you? Do you have a website? How can people get in touch with you if they feel you can help?
Yeah, of course. So if you want to see me and want to find out more about stopping over drinking, then you can visit patrickjfox.com, or I'm also over on Instagram at pjfoxcoaching, and LinkedIn. You can find me at Patrick James Fox. And lastly, I've got a private Facebook group, right? So not in the public domain. People come and they can be very open and honest about what's going on for them, called Becoming Alcohol Free.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So thank you for taking part in this project. I will be posting this video to my YouTube channel, which is Conversations with Calm Therapy. So please subscribe to my channel and share on social media so you can keep up to date with any latest interviews as I post them. So thank you very much, Patrick. It's been lovely having you here today.
Awesome. My pleasure. Thanks very much, Jane.
Okay, bye.
Bye.